Ladies and gentlemen, the GSU Trumpet Studio and Professor Konrad Groth from Berlin. Is this no? Never works. Microphones usually never work until they do. Okay, welcome everybody. I'm Alexander Freund, the trumpet professor at Georgia State University and the host of this festival. It is a huge pleasure to welcome you. You see this afternoon we're gonna chime into the whole schedule little by little. Most people come from very far away, and it's quite normal for this festival that people are finding their way into the evening concert, Saturday morning registration, and so I don't want to hold a long speech. I'm very happy that you came. You can imagine organizing a festival under the current circumstances is different, but it will be exquisite. We have a wonderful and incredibly special lineup of guest artists from 5 countries. And I would like to ask you very short to come on stage that they can see your faces. I'm gonna start with the honor to introduce to you Mr. Konrad Groth, who was for almost 30 years the principal trumpet of the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra from Berlin. I still cannot believe that this has happened because he has any other thing to do than traveling, especially now through the world to trumpet festivals. Konrad, I'm very pleased to have you here. Thank you so much. And let me present to you Mr. Sean Jones, who will lead the evening gala concert tonight. Y damas y caballeros, les presento a mi amigo de España, David Pastor from Spain. And welcome. We will have the entire trumpet section of the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra tomorrow. They come for the Masterclass. And we will have the Ensemble 7-4, which is the spectacular Venezuelan, not trumpet ensemble, because they are 4 trumpets and 2 percussion and bass, and they play anything. And they all come from the El Sistema music education program, and this legendary education program in Venezuela, more than 30 years old, where people came from the street and ended up at the Berlin Philharmonic. And they will talk about it, you will hear it. Please give a strong applause to our guest artists. So, I keep this very short. Yeah, you can go home now. Okay, and as I don't want to steal much time, Sean and David will have the evening gala concert tonight. 2 remarks. Everything will happen in this hall. No brainer, right? You can just stay there seating and everything's cool. Except the evening concert tonight is at the Rialto Center. You just walk 2 blocks, 3 blocks up the street, it's right there. You've seen it on the website. If you have questions about the website, there are QR codes outside. The programs will not be printed, they will all be with QR codes. If you have any question asked, please ask the people at the registration. And there are 3 restaurants, I mean there are many restaurants here in downtown, but there are 3 who give a discount to the festival participants. It is Slice, where the jam session will be tonight and tomorrow, right after the concert. It is the Landmark Diner right in front of the Rialto Center, and it's a very exquisite Indian restaurant, Amar Cuisine, which is right behind the Rialto Center. This information, you will find this all on the website. And if there's any question, just don't be shy, ask. And I think that's quite it. Welcome. Let's open this festival. We're gonna open it with pomp and circumstance tonight at the Rialto. Sean, this is all your show. Same light, and here's a microphone. Sean Jones.
All right. Good evening, everyone. There we go, you're alive. It's good to see everyone. We have limited time, so I'd like to just jump straight away into questions. I talk a lot, so hopefully you have a lot of questions, and I'm excited to share with you. And if I don't know the answer, I will be very honest and say I have no idea what you're talking about. All right? So who wants to break the ice?
Sean, I'll break the ice.
Sure.
I know that I've heard you before, and you're just phenomenal. I love your playing, and I heard you speak before about your classical training, and I heard you nailing the Florida Soldat out there at the booth.
I don't know about nailing.
It's better than I would have done. Could you talk about that aspect of your jazz playing, the fact that you built a fundamental base of your playing, and how that applies to what you do now?
Thank you for the question. The question dealt with classical music and jazz and how classical music as a foundation informs my jazz playing. Well, I'll say that pedagogy is pedagogy. The how-to is the how-to, no matter what genre you're playing in. If you're playing classical music, if you're playing jazz, funk, all of that stuff requires the same fundamental principles of pedagogical excellence or lack thereof. Right? Thank you so much. So, if I'm going to play Charlie 8 number 2. That's the horn line to Give It To Me, Baby. Rick James. Or if I'm going to play. What's that? Bebop, Dizzy Gillespie. Pedagogy is pedagogy. So it's important to have a good routine that deals with the fundamental aspects of playing the instrument. For me, this piece of metal that they call the trumpet, the reason that people want to hear it is because of the sound of the trumpet. So I deal with sound first. Long tones, getting a good mouthpiece buzz, flow studies, Vincent Chikowitz flow studies. Vincent Chikowitz was the second trumpet player for the Chicago Symphony under Adolph Herseth for a number of years. My favorite recordings with them are under the direction of Fritz Reiner, an amazing conductor. From the 50s, I believe that's when that was kind of like the golden era of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. So I think about sound, I think about technique after that. Everything that I play is based on the sound. Scales, arpeggios, whatever it is comes from the sound. So the first thing that I do is long tones. Then after that, I'll do I'll add fingers to the flow, which are Clark studies, okay, Herbert L. Clark studies. After that, I'll do some scales, some arpeggios, then I'll do multiple tonguing. Yes, I'm a jazz player, but I practice multiple tonguing, triple tonguing, double tonguing, all of that. Why? Because the tongue is one of the most important aspects of playing, and it is a muscle that needs to be worked out. So I practice the front end of the double tongue, 2. I practice the back end of the double tongue, which I call ku. I don't say ka, because that's too far in the back of the throat for me. So I say ku. So I practice that to keep the office of the tongue trained in conjunction with the orbicularis oris, which is the muscle that surrounds the mouth. It's almost like our ligature to keep our reeds in place, which are our lips. So I've studied the fundamentals of trumpet playing, and I reinforce those in my second routine. I have 3 routines in a day. First routine is all about fundamentals. The second routine is the reinforcement of those fundamentals, okay, which is largely classical etudes. Again, going back to the classical genre, there are several decades, couple hundred years of pedagogical influence on trumpet playing written into the European classical tradition, specifically in etudes, Charlier, Arbenz, Schlossberg, the Brandt book. It goes on and on and on. And I study those etudes to reinforce that pedagogy. Now, the third routine that I have is a routine that deals with musicianship. So whatever I'm working on as the foundation of my career, which predominantly is jazz, I work on that in my musicianship routine, the third routine of the night, okay? Or if I'm working on a recital or something, I'll work on that music then, okay? So I try to get a good 4 or 5 hours in a day of playing. Now, I got 2 little girls and a wife, and I lead a lot of stuff, so I try to get it in when I can. If you're young, take advantage of your youth, telling you, and your freedom, all right? Does that answer your question?
Very well,
Thank you. So I tried to catch 2 questions in one, the pedagogy and the practice routine kind of stuff, but I'm happy to elaborate more on each. Yes, sir.
Sean, on longer compositions, when you compose, do you start with a melody, or do you start with your changes, or what's your process when you come up with a new song?
When I compose, I usually ask myself, why am I writing what I'm writing, and what's the purpose? If you listen to most of the compositions I've done on my albums, they're my life experiences. I've written about divorce. I've written about my nephew being born. I've written about addiction. There's a there's a song on there that I kind of co-wrote with a good friend of mine, Brian Hogan's, who's from Atlanta, Georgia. And it's called what record is that on? I can't remember the name of it right now. I got a lot going on in my head, but it's about addiction. I wrote songs about love. I mean, it all depends on what I'm working on at that time. Songs about forgiveness. I try to make sure that I write compositions that reflect the triumph and tragedy of the human spirit, because we're all a dichotomy. We all have high points, and we all have low points. And I try to touch on all of them as honestly as I possibly can. When I think about my mother, I think about her soul. I think about her feeling, her warmth, her nurturing side. And so I wrote a tune, boo-doo-doo-doo-dee. It's called Mama. Sounds like my mom, So I try to do it honestly. Now, the other side of that is I can't do that without certain skills. I got to know harmony. I got to know melody. I have to know rhythm. All of that stuff that they call theory, which is an attempt to explain sound, ordered sound in a musical context. And I take that theory and I ask myself, what does this mean? And the older I get, the simpler it becomes. Like, to me, there are only 2 chords. Everything to me is a version of minor or some version of major. Minor is the darkness that we feel inside. Major is the happiness that we feel inside. in the middle and both of them together is peace. Can't have minor without major. Can't have major without minor. Well, what about diminished? Well, diminished is nothing but an extreme version of minor. How many people are actually angry without being sad first? Diminished sounds angry, doesn't it? Sounds intense. You don't get there without feeling upset or hurt or disappointed. Happiness, right? Oh, I'm feeling good today. I've got to watch my favorite team play. I got to watch the Falcons play. I know they're going to kill them. Let me drink this beer. Let me augment my happy feeling because I need more of it. That's the augmented chord. See what I'm saying? Everything is a version of major and minor. And if you write with that in mind, then you'll find the balances of your composition. All of the sevenths, the thirds of the chord, the 11ths of the chord, all of that kind of stuff is just more frill on top of it. You know? So I think about that when I'm writing. What is the purpose? What is the human purpose? So to sum up what I just said, I think about myself as a human, and I use the skills that I've learned from the coding of harmonic and melodic pedagogy in order to be able to express what's on my heart, so that there can be some type of roadmap for those that are alive to view it and hear it, and those that come after me. It's a good question. Next question. Yes. Front row's killing the game, y'all. What's up back there?
So, I'm kind of in the younger crowd, so I've been doing a lot of listening lately.
Okay.
To try to get informed from the older crowd. Who are you listening to today?
Well, let me say that. You started by saying I'm in the younger crowd, so I listen to the older crowd to get informed. That's good. It's very noble. But you should be listening to everything. Listen to the silence in this room. Listen to your feet touch the ground. Listen to those that are younger than you. Listen to babies cry. Listen to babies laugh. That's music. Listen to everything. In everything there is a song, right? Now, I know what you're saying. You respect the elders, you know, and that's great. And you should. You should seek advice from them, you know. But even with that, everybody's a story. And you have to ask how their story fits inside of your story, you know. Now, what do I listen to? I listen to everything. If you check out my playlists, I got everything from hard rock to L'Histoire du Soldat, you know, from Brahms, Bach to Aretha Franklin. One of my favorite records is a record called In the Court of the Crimson King. Anybody ever heard of that? Yeah, you shaking your head like you, boom, do 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 do. That's one of the greatest rock records ever done. You know, it's ridiculous, and the album cover is crazy. I listen to that all the time. It informs my writing. I also listen to Fred Hammond. I was just listening to Fred Hammond on my run this afternoon, run walk. You know, a tune called Yes He Will, Purpose by Design. Because I grew up in a Pentecostal church and I needed to hear that at that moment. You know, I listen to Phil Collins. You know, I know you're looking at me like, what the hell? Yeah, I listen to it all. Those are great pieces of music, man. Duke Ellington said there's only two kinds of music, good and bad. What makes music bad? Let me ask y'all a question. Well, nobody wants to listen. That's arguable.
Predictability.
Predictability, potentially. Music without soul. That's a good one. That's a good one. Personal opinion. And you encapsulated everything that came before you. Only thing that makes it sound bad to you is like your relationship to it. You know, there are certain pieces that I can't listen to. I couldn't listen to them before. Like one of them is Private Eyes. Private eyes, they're watching you. I hate it what the bass drum is doing on that. Boom, because this is literally boom, boom. All the bass drum does for the whole song. But you know what? I had to open my ears and listen to the lyrics. And I was like, oh, damn. All these years I was judging that song because I couldn't get past the damn bass drum. And I missed the message because I couldn't get past my own idiosyncrasies. So for me, there's good in everything. Like if it's put out there in the universe, there must be some reason for it. You know? So if Duke Ellington was alive today, I would ask him, well, what's bad? And I think it's subjective. I think it's about, is it bad for you right now and at this space in your development? Only you can decide that. You know? But I think you can get something out of everything. I really do. At one point in my life, you couldn't get me to drink bourbon to save I hated it. But a few years ago, I started getting into it. And I got into it a little bit too much. Life changes. You know what I mean? So I say all of that to say, you know, what I'm listening to everything right now. And I'm trying to find the good in everything. Now, granted, some stuff is just put together. You could tell when you listen to it, it's like, you know, I think that's what you're saying, like purpose. Like if somebody's just throwing something together and it's totally out of tune. You know what I mean? It's like there's no effort whatsoever. You can hear that. You know, it's like going to McDonald's. There ain't no effort in that. You know what I'm saying? So I would say listen to everything, man. Listen to it all. Great. Oh, in the back. You know how you find your sound? You find yourself. That's how you find your sound. Who are you? When somebody asks you, who are you? Can you say more than just your name? When somebody asks you, where are you from? Can you say more than just your address that you grew up at? When somebody asks you, what do you believe? Can you say something more than a religion? That's how you come up with your own sound. You figure out, who the hell am I? What am I? Why am I? That is when you become you. All of this thing is a gateway. This is not the answer. This is the answer. Bill Fielder, Professor Bill Fielder, he taught Wynton Marsalis, he taught Terrence Blanchard, taught Terrell Stafford, pretty much most of the jazz trumpet players from the 80s on, he influenced them. And he would tell all of us one thing. He would ask us what a trumpet was. He had a high voice. Man, what is a trumpet? it's a brass instrument. No, 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 no. It's a wind instrument. No, no, no. And he would say, it is the mirror of the mind. I didn't understand what the hell that meant until maybe a few weeks ago. And I probably will say the same thing that I'm saying right now, probably 3 months from now. Because my answer 3 months from now will probably be like, whoa, I didn't really know then. Because I'm constantly evolving, right? I'm constantly figuring out who I am. And as I figure out who I am more and more, my sound develops. So you got to figure out who you are, what you are, and why you are. And that requires listening to a bunch of music. That requires pedagogical excellence. That requires covering all of the bases. That requires honesty. I had a student at Oberlin, and she came up to me and she said, you know, Mr. Jones, I want to play trumpet klezmer music. And I said, what the hell are you talking about? Trumpet klezmer? What? Yeah. And I looked at her in her eyes, and I saw determination. I saw resolution, and I knew that she was hearing something that I couldn't hear. So I said, "What? Go for it. What can I do to help you?" Now she's doing it. She got a klezmer band with trumpet in the forefront, killing it in New York. But what if she didn't believe that what she heard had purpose? What if she said, "Oh, that's too stupid. Who would ever listen to that?" It's your job to take what you hear in your head and make it real. William Blake said, "Eternity is in love with the creations of time." Eternity is in love with the creations of time. Eternity is everything that was, is, and will be. Some people call that God. Some people say that's the universe. Some people say that's science. Some people say that's Mother Nature. Whatever you say it is, it's everything that was, is, and will be. That's undeniable. That's eternal. A creation of time is this microphone stand. It's this trumpet. It's the microphone in my hand. It's the hand holding the microphone. It's the body, the arm connected to the hand, which is connected to the shoulder, which is connected to my heart and soul. They are all creations of time. Why would eternity be in love with a creation of time? Because creations of time make manifest all time by our doing. This microphone has a purpose. It projects my sound, or anyone's sound that picks it up. The stand has the purpose to hold the microphone so that the microphone can be in place so that whatever is spoken or delivered into the microphone can be heard audibly. The floor has a purpose to hold the microphone stand that holds the microphone to project the sound. You get what I'm going at here? What is your purpose? What is your sound? Only person that knows is you. You know what you hear, don't you? How many songs have you written that you didn't write down? How many songs or melodies have come to your head that you never sat down and said, "Oh man"? Probably a lot, right? Well, it's your duty to write those songs out. Now, you'll have bad days. Some days you'll feel tired. Some days you'll feel, we all deal with stuff. All of that stuff is called resistance. And it comes in every form. It comes in depression. It comes in addiction. It comes in self-doubt. It also comes in extreme happiness. Those augmented chords. I'm going to the football game every day this week and getting drunk. That's the augmented chord, keeping you from writing out its balance. I know I'm getting a little deep here, but this is how deep it is. I don't want to live in the shallow end. That's no fun. I want to be in that deep end. You dig? So you got to ask yourself, who am I, what am I, and why am I? And deliver. Does that answer your question? Good. Next question. Yes. What inspired me to start making music originally? The sounds I heard when I was growing up in church. I grew up in a Pentecostal church, and everybody could sing or play some kind of instrument, with the exception of like 3 people. We thought something was wrong with them. We literally did. It's like, you can't sing? What the hell? Like, where you come from? And growing up in that environment, you know, you're in church. I was in church all the time. Monday was like the only day we had off. We had Tuesday night Bible band. We had Wednesday. There was something that happened on Wednesday, some kind of like children's rehearsal or something. Thursday was choir rehearsal. Friday night was like prayer and Bible study or something like that. Saturday night was always some kind of musical, which was basically like a gospel talent show. And then Sunday morning we had church, and then Sunday night was a broadcast. That's how much I was in church. So that influences how I play. Like when I play, like the blues sounds like this to me. See, blues is not a major thing or a minor thing. Blues is not a scale. It's a feeling. And the feeling of the blues that I got just happened to come out of the Pentecostal church. Because there was always joy. There was always, let me not say joy. That's a lie. There was always hope. And that brought the joy. Because people would come in there, man. People would come in there like alcoholics. They would come in there with all kind of illnesses, all kind of anything. And they just came up. And it wasn't the joy that brought them up there. It wasn't the pain. It was the hope. And so when I play, that's what I'm trying to play. You know, you can play the blues real angry. I can play that if I want to, but that's not, I hear this. I hear that. They both have a place, but I'm being honest about what I hear. You dig what I'm saying? You know, so that's my upbringing. Everybody's got an upbringing. Everybody got some place that they're from. You can't deny that. Now you can run from that, and a lot of people do. So be it. The truth will come out at some point. I promise you that. That truth is a mother, father, sister, brother. I mean, it really is. What is that saying? You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free, or it'll put you in prison. So you have to ask yourself, right? Again, the same thing. Who am I? Why am I? What am I?
And your courses of action will determine what you do with this instrument, the decision that you make. You know, the resolution, I should say, that you make will determine what you do with this thing. I'm not going to tell anybody in this room anything that hasn't been already taught to you about the trumpet. I am not going to reveal any magical, majestical things about the pedagogy of the instrument on here. Nothing. I promise you that. The only thing I can tell you that might be different about me than you, maybe, is that I'm willing to go. I'm willing to find it. I'm willing to figure it out. Somebody told me I couldn't play scales and fourths like this. They told me that when I was a freshman in college. And you know what? I said, to hell with you, I am going to do this. And I started shedding. I just got this mouthpiece 45 minutes ago. I'm not bullshitting you. Did I not? 45 minutes ago I got this mouthpiece. Why am I able to do that? One word. Believe. I believe I can do it. And my belief was coupled with the work. There's a story about a vampire. This vampire was chasing this cat all up and down. You might have heard this story before. It's in a movie. This vampire was chasing this guy all up and down his house. Chasing him all around. And finally corners the guy. Corners him. Moving in for the kill. Guy's thinking to himself, all right, garlic, I don't have any of that. Sunlight, it's midnight. What am I going to do to get this vampire off of me? Lo and behold, at the corner of his eyes, he sees a cross on the wall. He grabs the cross, puts it in front of the guy, in front of the vampire, and the vampire backs up, looks at the guy, looks at the cross, and the vampire takes the cross and crushes it in his hands, laughs at the guy, and continues to move in for the kill. Guy says, whoop, stop. Vampire, I know you're going to kill me, but why didn't this cross work on you? The vampire said, silly man, you got to believe in that thing in order for it to work. I don't care how much you practice this. I don't care how many Arben's books you got. You might have the red version, you might have it might be laminated. If you don't wake up every day and say, I believe that I can do this and that my sound and my purpose is significant on this earth and in this time, for whatever reason, you will not do it. You won't. And guess what? That changes over time. It changes over time. I sit here before you as a 43-year-old man that has a lot of accomplishment. But guess what? Right now, that don't mean a damn thing. What's next? Because if there is nothing next, I should just start digging right now. All right, cool, dig. I got a resume, I leave my resume behind. That's jive. You know? And so I'm telling you now, believe in those things. Like you asked that question for a reason. Because you might be thinking about, where did I come from? Who am I? Why do this? I know y'all might not have been expecting all this. You might have wanted to talk about 251s. They got Jamie Aebersols for that. You know what I mean? You might have wanted to talk about theory. They got theory books for that. It's all out there. got classes. Go to class. You know? But the only thing I can give you is my honesty at this moment in time. And I tell you that the reason that you are here is because you want to find further belief. You want to find validation. You're assembling yourselves together with other minds that are like yours that play similar instruments, right? Or at least are on a similar trajectory or have been down this road before. We're all here because we have some type of combined, unified purpose. And it's more important now on this earth than ever when a virus is threatening to eradicate the human race. No matter what you think about it, I got dozens of people that I know that have died from it. So whatever this purpose of this thing is, whether it's to break down the walls of Jericho, or whether it's to be the divine call, or whether it's just to wake somebody up, whether it's to salute someone to the other side, whether it's just to play some really slick sounding stuff, whatever that is human evolution through this thing. Anybody know it as something else?
He looked beyond my faults.
He looked beyond my faults. Anybody know it as something else? London Derriere. Irish tune. You know why I love that song? I love that song because no matter where I play it, specifically in this country, there's a black man, a white woman, a Hispanic person, man or woman or whatever. They all come up to me and they say, that song, I knew that song as this. I knew that song as this. And they say, wait a minute, that's not how that song, that's not the name of that song. And I remind them, yes, it is the name of that song. That's just what you call it. And that's just what you call it. And that's what you call it. Why don't you exchange numbers so that you can share the versions that you know with the other person? That is what's supposed to happen in this country. That's why we play. That's why we practice. That's why we work on our sound. That's why we do all of this stuff. That's why we go through the pain and suffering of what it means to play this instrument at a high level. Is to bring together the consciousness of all human beings through the sound of the trumpet. Yes, I'm biased, and I'll be biased to the day I die. This is regal. This. No other instrument, perhaps maybe the drum, has meant more to humankind than this one. It's all up in religious texts of all kinds. In most genres, this is the instrument at the forefront. This one. So when you shed, remember your purpose. When you practice, remember why. I know I'm getting deep, but hey, that's who I am. You know, you got it. I can see you. You're feeling that burn inside, aren't you? I see it. Follow it. I see you. Next question. Yes, ma'am.
When did you find it?
When did I find it? I'm finding it every day.
When?
Every day. Every second.
When you were a baby?
She asked me, when did I find it?
Yes.
I can't point to a specific day. I can't point to a specific time. All I can say is that there have been many moments in my life where there's been a call to consciousness. Many moments, and I still have them. I just had some this week. New calls to consciousness. You know, in a religious text, you know, and again, I'm not trying to preach religion to anybody. This is not about religion, but there's a saying that says, I die daily. I die daily. I believe that. What's the point of death? Say it again.
Rebirth.
Rebirth. So every morning I get up, I die so that I can live. Every morning that I get up, oh man. Every morning. Monotones are death. Let's be honest. Let's be real about it. Who likes doing long tones? Nobody likes doing that shit. Come on, if you say you do, come on. I mean, you like to die. That's good for you. It's not easy. Like that pedagogical stuff that I do every morning. Oh my God, it's like, oh. But I do that.
I died since 50 years.
You
Because
did?
I'm married to a trumpetist.
Oh, you dying with them? Yeah. But you know what? If I don't do that, if I don't die, I can't do this. I can't get to that unless I go. And I'm talking about mean it. You got to die daily. That's evolution. Death is transformation, not the end. Right? So every day you get up, well, first of all, get up. And I'm telling you, man, like, I haven't seen more depression in the past 2 years than I've ever seen. Students literally saying, I can't get out of the bed. I feel that. Just get up. Take this evil machine and put an alarm on it with your favorite song. And let that be what wakes you up every morning. Just get up. Just stand. You can't stand in the bed. Well, you can. But you can't stand laying down. the alternative of not doing it, of doing it, not doing it? And what happens when you don't do it? You don't get better. You either evolve or you devolve. There is no standing still. Because everything else is moving. Everything else. And sometimes evolution is painful as hell. Sometimes you can't see the other side of it. Sometimes you can't see your next gig. Sometimes you don't even know if you're going to get called for a gig. Sometimes you don't get called for a gig. What you do then? You know why? Because every time you stand, every time you get up, every time you do that, every time you die to be born again, not in a religious sense, you give yourself opportunity. So when the phone does ring, you're ready. So that when you make the call, because sometimes the phone is not supposed to ring, sometimes you're the one that's supposed to make the call. All of that, you know? Purpose, human evolution. And we as trumpet players are a part of the soundtrack of the human evolution. We as trumpet players bring the brilliance and majesty of sound to human evolution. From that to take the trumpet out of any of that stuff. I went to the Bach factory, in Elkhart, Indiana. And people have been complaining about Bach trumpets for 20 years. And so I said, well, I'm going to go and go to the source and figure out why. I walked in there, and the people that were making the instruments seemed defeated. First of all, they live in Elkhart, Indiana. I mean, let's be honest. They felt defeated. They get up every morning, and they go into it, and they bend metal, and they put valves together, and they're like, what the hell? Why am I doing this? Why? What's the purpose? And all I did was play a song for them and walk around. And do you know, at least half of those people said they had never realized that the instruments that they make are on the albums that I showed them. All it took was going and showing them, this is what you're making. This is what it sounds like. You see what I'm saying? Like that's purpose. That's the why. The how is, we got a lot that, we got geniuses of the instrument that have come along, that have laid down some of the most brilliant trumpet sound on earth. Just follow them. Look at what they've done. Practice. And the other thing about questions, and I'm not knocking anybody to ask questions, but ask yourself before you ask a question, do you know the answer? I tend to believe that 9 times out of 10, when people ask questions, they already kind of got an idea of what the answer is going to be. They just need validation. The greatest validation you could give yourself is doing. The only way to be is to do. Steve Jobs said that. The only way to be is to do. And I'm not saying don't ask questions. You got to seek knowledge. But if you honestly know that the only thing that's standing in the way of the answer that's meant for yourself is you doing something, I don't care how many times you ask the same question over and over again. You can't ask yourself into doing. You just have to do. That's real. I know we're at time. I'll take one more question. Anybody back there? Or over here? How you doing?
So, is that the only suffering you do long term?
Is that the only suffering that I do? Long tones? No. I suffer in my daily life every day. I got demons, you know. I had to stop drinking because I drank too much. Drinking for me is the augmented cord that is also kryptonite. You know? It's like I had to stop doing that. I had to start working out. You know? The morning time is also my kryptonite. I hate getting up in the morning. But that's why I always take the first flight out, because it forces me to get up. Trumpet is just, no, I fight myself every day. Every single day I fight myself. And I'll be fighting myself to the day I die. Why? Because I don't want to die before I fulfill my purpose. You know? So I choose to do the hard things every day. I wrote my obituary. No, I'm not planning to die. But I wrote it. And I want to share that with y'all. And this will be the last thing that I share with y'all as soon as I can find it. The call on my life has been to do the hard things. The hard things with pain, nothing making sense, and with grit. Most of all, in the spirit of love, connected to the eternal consciousness that gives me the fight to endure and enjoy it all. When it's all said and done, in this form that is this body, that is what I want to be remembered by. With the trumpet and without it. And that's why I play. And the only reason I play. Thank y'all very much.